start, as usual, with public participation. We've got 5 people down to speak, but one of them is going to defer until we get to the agenda item. And we have 1 extra person come to speak, so there's a space for him. That's great. So is Mark Wells with us, and would he like to come forward? Maybe he's not, in fact. There's no Mark Wells. That's all right. How about Chloe Forfeit? So the microphone should work. Yeah. Sure.
The microphones for the people on the video.
So Chloe, it would be good to use the microphone if you can, just because then
Okay.
Anyone watching on the video will hear you much better.
Okay.
You'll have a worldwide audience.
Thanks. That makes me feel much more relaxed. So yes, I'm Chloe, and I'm here from the Glastonbury Mental Health Network. We're the Mayor's charity this year, which we're very grateful for the second year, which is great. And I'm here to tell you about what we've done, what we're seeing in our work, and what we'd like you to do. So currently, I'm going to not try and speak too fast, but putting it to 3 minutes was pretty tricky. So we host community forums. The next date is on there, and we'd like to invite you to come, where we get community leaders to come and let us know what's needed in the town, so it can inform our work. We offer training, which we're training up the high street, the public-facing businesses, and we also run a support service at the Red Brick once a week. So at that support service, I'm a trained counsellor. I don't offer counselling, but I offer helping conversations. So I'll talk to people and I'll find out what their needs are, and then I look to signpost them into the community. And essentially what I've detailed on there, the different kinds of crisis that I'm seeing. But what seems to underpin all of the things that we see is trauma. I used to attend the high street safety meetings, but I stopped because I felt like the symptoms were being addressed, but not the underlying cause. And kind of that's what I'm putting to you that is needed, is to address the underlying causes. So in the town, we have lots of best practice practitioners. We also have some more squirrely offerings, which I wrote on there some stuff about people making a tidy income from the town, which it's not very professional, but I'm quite passionate about the fact that some of the things that are offered can be quite destabilising. What I'm asking from the council is to create a physical signpost in the centre of town, which could be beautiful. I have the idea that Kim could design it, and it could have all the services, some of the local services detailed, so Mindline, the Samaritans, Health Connections, and how to report things to the police if necessary, how to report safeguarding concerns, because people don't necessarily know how to do this stuff, but also how to receive debt support and other things that are real stressors for people in their lives. I'd also like you to fund a dedicated mental health or emotional wellbeing worker, just like you address the needs of climate in the town. I think the needs of mental health are really important. So it's known as the biggest open-air asylum in Europe, Glastonbury, and I feel like the real meaning of the word asylum is a place of safety, and we should be looking to make this place as safe as possible. One of my big concerns as a parent of a teenager is the fact that there's not a lot for young people to do, and they're exploring their insides through drugs. And there's currently a 12-year-old selling cocaine and ketamine on Windmill Hill, which is a big deal. And I'd really like there to be more activities. We've got Children's World in the town who are really very good at what they do, offering emotion coaching. So my 3 minutes up. There's also a lot of dealing going on at St John's, at the toilets, and people are telling me about adults going in there with children. So I know there's CCTV. This is more as a, not necessarily as a mental health worker, but it's important. And also the churches have all refused to host a needle exchange. And I think for the dignity of intravenous drug users, that would be something that could be jointly joined with support as well, so that people, when they want to stop using, can do so. I'd also like to have some support approaching businesses and those that make money from this being a real centre for spiritual awakening and pilgrimage. I think they could do something like tithing. They perhaps give a proportion of their income to the benefit of the well-being of the town, perhaps for this St Dunstan's house. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chloe.
Chloe, thank you.
Chloe, could I just, you've raised a couple of safeguarding concerns, and I was wondering if those have been raised with the police and with social services. Yeah, okay, thank you.
So Chloe, thank you very much for this and for the whole paper, which I'll read properly as soon as I get a chance. It's much appreciated. Is Madeline Miles here to talk about Avalon Community Energy? Madeline Miles, gone. Emma King, welcome.
Hello, I'm always here, aren't I? Hi, everybody. It's really interesting, actually, because what I'm going to say is going to follow on really well from what's just been said about mental health in town. I mean, essentially, I've been asked to speak today by several people who've been really concerned about the fact that there was a speaker in the town hall called Sasha Stone, who spoke on the 5th of July. He was booked by somebody called Vivian Bell, apparently, and supported by Aquan, who booked him to speak with the people who sell a really overpriced water. The problem is that this is exactly the sort of issue that we're trying to deal with here, is the fact that we've got a lot of very, very vulnerable people in town that we need to protect and look after. And at the moment, the town council doesn't, the booking for the town hall doesn't have any particular requirements that anyone has to give out any information as to what exactly it is they're putting on. They just have to say what type of event it is, which is the case in this particular instance. I know that there's been call from people like Councillor Manning and so on for these things, for the booking form to be changed, but I think it really needs to be done as a matter of urgency. Sasha Stone is somebody who is essentially a scam artist. He's the person who came up with the 5G BioShield, which this council supported, and I really think that's something that needs to be looked into as well, which was debunked by the British standards. I did write a thing about this and I've lost where it is now. It was debunked by British trading standards because it was a scam. Essentially, he sold a normal USB thumb drive with a sticker on it saying that it was going to protect people from 5G. And obviously a lot of people, for £330, possibly more, obviously that was a massive scam. People were taken in by that. This guy was probably, we think, promoting his latest scam, which is golden tickets to a New Earth micronation in Tennessee for $10,000 each. He's also promoting life extension supplements called Immortalis, which cost $825 for a bottle of 60 capsules. The fact is that the people that attended that meeting have been exploited. It encourages more people like that to come into our town. We have a reputation for we're basically a bit of a laughing stock. People also think we're full of Nazis. The town council needs to take a stand on this because it comes from the top down. If we don't make a stand here and show the town and the people who are visiting the town that we don't actually necessarily support this sort of far-right, weird sort of agenda which exploits people, and that we actually really want to support the vulnerable people in town that are going to get taken in by this sort of thing, and support the minority groups, because this man is extremely anti-Semitic. He believes in the blood libel of Jews. He believes in the protocols of the Elders of Zion. I mean, there's some really nasty stuff. He believes that Jews are abducting 8 million children a year and killing them, basically. He's really, I think he's got issues personally. He probably needs the mental health network more than anyone. But the fact is, he's really a dangerous man, and we don't want people like that speaking here. So we really, really need to make sure that we're not platforming hate in the town hall, and if necessary, and hopefully nowhere in town. But the fact is that that sets a very, very bad precedent for the town as a whole and for the town council if we're allowing the town hall to be used in that sort of way to platform that type of person. He's also got issues that the COVID vaccine apparently implants a nanochip to the human body so that the beast can take control of your soul. So anyone who's had the vaccine, do beware. But and also he believes that the conspiracy theory about Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign being satanic paedophiles and the whole Pizzagate thing. I mean, seriously, we really need to make sure that we are standing against that. And I know that there have been things in place to start this ball rolling, but it needs to be done as a real matter of urgency. And as I said, I'm not the only person concerned. I was asked to speak about this yesterday, to talk, because it was raised, and we didn't even know this guy had spoken. It was somebody basically found it on Facebook and found that this guy had spoken. Surely the town council needs to know what's happening in their own town hall and who exactly is speaking to people and taking money from vulnerable individuals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I've got a note here just been passed to me. I'll read it out. John Cousins says Glastonbury Town Council did not support the BioShield USB stick. Do you want to say anything else?
Thank you. I think
So,
people believe that they did.
no, sure.
Thank you. That was half the point I was going to make, is yes, that was a thing. It was during the 5G when the precautionary principle was raised, and that's really, really unfortunate. But can we actually look to make sure it's taken off of anything that is, on our website? The other thing I was going to say, what was I going to say? Oh yes, how far did we get? So I've got here, so Jackie apparently, she looked back in the minutes and it was raised at a previous meeting. Paul Manning and Connor were updating the booking policy. Do we know, or can we?
The Property and Assets Committee agreed an updated town hall booking policy, which is the one that we've been using since that meeting. It was in the meeting, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I went and found that booking policy that went to the Property and Assets Committee. And that's the one that's been being used since it was agreed by the Property and Assets Committee. What I would suggest, because obviously you can't have a debate about something raised during public participation because it's not on the agenda. I'm yet to write the Property and Assets agenda for next week, so I suggest it's something that is brought to that committee to look at and consider exactly what can be done. It is tricky to know exactly who's going to be speaking because, you know, it was booked under different names, etc., etc. But the Property and Assets can look at it at their next meeting. That's what I'd suggest.
Thank you very much. So we need to move on, if that's all right. Mike?
Just to correct, thank you, Worship, Councillor Don Francesco's comment, there has never been anything relating to a bias shield on any of our town council websites, so there's no need to address that issue.
So last
Understand that.
So last public participation, I'd like to call on John Ravenscroft. You're very welcome.
Hi, John Ravenscroft, own the Mystic Garden Gallery.
Indeed.
Most of you probably know that I'm probably one of the biggest haters of the buskers that we have in our town. Not all of them, just some. We've got a buskers charter that we've had, which I sat around this table 4 or 5 years ago and thrashed out with them, and not a single one of them take any notice of it. We've got the new charter here. And I've gone through the Somerset Council with the noise app and everything else. We still get the same people turning up for hour after hour after hour. Not 1, 2, 3. Sometimes they can be there for 6 hours, and they are so loud. What I'd like to know is, if this charter gets through, who will enforce it, and whether the council will support the police. As again, tonight, as in today, no police cover. No from the police has turned up tonight. So even they can't answer some of the questions. We ask them what the law is, and they just bounce it from Glastonbury Town Council, Mendip Town Council, Somerset County Council. What needs to be done is no amplification, full stop. The charter here says voice, acoustic music shouldn't be. And if you do use amplification, the immediate area, not 50, 60, 100 metres away where you have them. As a resident as well, it is beyond what we should have to put up with. So I'd like the council to come back to me with a resolution as to what will happen. As I say, I've gone through everything that Somerset County Council have asked us to do. And it takes weeks. We shouldn't have to wait weeks if somebody turns up with loud amplification and drumming for 5 and 6 hours at a time. We need somebody to call. 4:30, Somerset County Council finish. Police in Glastonbury, non-existent. You speak to the inspector, he says we have cover for 7 days a week. I don't know which 7 days it is, but we certainly don't get that. So we've got nobody to turn to after 4:30 at night. And these people can turn up at all times. I've been arrested, I've been charged, I've been all sorts about removing these people from in front of my property. I shouldn't have to go down that line. So I'd like the council to study it properly and come out with a proper resolution that is fair for everybody. I don't want to stop busking. I want to make sure that nobody else has to endure what we've endured for the last 3 years. People say you shouldn't live in the town centre. Well, we've been there since 2014, and it's never, ever been this bad as it has been this last 3 years. Thank you.
Cheers, John.
Thank you very much. I do sympathise. Yeah, thank you. So that's all of us, I think, for public participation. I'd like to invite Chloe, as a representative of the Mayor's Charity, to come and light our unity candle, and then we'll stand for a silent minute. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So moving on, do we have apologies for absence?
Thank you, Worship. I've had apologies from Councillor Cousins owing to a personal commitment. Councillor Napper is unfortunately feeling unwell, and I understand that Councillor McDougall has also provided apologies, but I don't know the reason. Family commitment. Thank you, Councillor Smythe.
Do we have declarations of interest over and above the ones already recorded? Any extra declarations of interest? Nope. Then can we go on to the minutes of the last meeting, 11th of June, page 84. '85. There we go. With the pride flag, it's not a correction, but I do regret we didn't give them permission for 2 weeks flying the flag as opposed to just 1 day. But it's not a correction. 85. Sorry. Can you say that again? Last month we discussed flying the pride flag from the town hall for Glastonbury Pride, and we voted to allow it for 1 day as opposed to 2 weeks or longer. Anyway, 85. Oh, sorry.
So it's very minor, and I'm sorry it was on the first page, but I was a bit slow getting to it. Under 24, my name was spelt with a double L, just for the person who's ever doing it. Lindsay is double L Dougal, and I am 1L Dougal.
I do apologise, Councillor Rooney Dougal. Our new assistant town clerk wrote them, so I'll...
Yeah, you got it correct in the apologies, but not in that bit. And I just wanted to make sure it got noted.
All right. Back to page 85. 86, we're well into 86. Yep. '87. '88. Oh, maybe not yet. That's 87. 88. Councillor Smythe?
Minor detail, Glastonbury Bloom Committee, it's got first names rather than accepted version.
Where's that?
Page 88.
Oh, yeah.
E. Oh, yes.
Okay.
What's wrong, sorry?
It says Mike Smythe rather than Councillor Smythe. Is that right?
Michael White.
Dear me. Can we go?
Just for consistency. I mean,
Yeah, so yeah,
consistency, that's all.
that's, they're copied and pasted from a set of minutes I didn't write, so I'll, yeah, feed that back.
Can we let it pass on this occasion? Okay. That's 88. There were no unitary councillor reports. 89. Ah, yes. Oh, sorry, Councillor Osborne.
It's all right, I'm sorry, just because like other people are bringing it up, my name's been spelt wrong consistently throughout.
Then we should correct it.
Yeah.
Okay. Your
There's a spelling mistake. Lindsay is AY.
These were circulated in advance. I would appreciate in future if these errors are brought up that I can actually change them ready to be signed. But yes, they were written by a member of staff who'd been with us for a month, so I apologise, but that they don't know the spelling of everyone's names.
Okay. Page 90. Page 90. And lastly, page 91, which should be uncontroversial. Mike?
Page 90.
Yeah?
If you can look at it again.
Page 90?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Page 90.
Yeah, there's a couple of sentences that haven't got a verb.
Which one is that?
If I see it on the screen, I can tell you.
Okay.
That's fine, I'll review them. I'm not going to ask you to sign them tonight, Your Worship, but if the council can agree, subject to the amendments of spelling and reviewing those sentences, we'll sign them in a time soon in the future, Your Worship.
Cool. So with that proviso, are we happy to proceed?
Aye.
Right, thank you. So an update on actions from the last meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. The donation from Councillor Don Francesco's underspend of her mayor's allowance, I believe, has been made. If it has not been made, it's certainly been authorised waiting to be made. The Frost Fair Committee was, advisory committee was agreed at the last meeting and is due to meet. Melissa, the Climate Emergency and Resilience Officer, is going to provide some pounds and pence figures in terms of the benefit to the Town Council from reducing its carbon footprint. I believe she's bringing that to the Property and Assets Committee next week. The actions from the annual governance and accountability return are being considered by Finance and General Purposes on Thursday. You supported the call for Somerset Rivers Authority to dredge the River Brew. In terms of the Pride flag, I liaised with Somerset Council. It was remarkable. I got a reply from someone in the planning department within a couple of days, which knocked my socks off. I didn't really ask them permission. I found that Somerset Council had flown that exact same flag, and I just advised them that we were doing the same. And then I had a discussion with a planning officer about what consents are needed for flags. Given that Somerset Council has flown that flag, set a precedent, so I purchased one of those flags a couple of days after the meeting. So that is ready to be flown on the day agreed later this month. And that's everything from the meeting, Your Worship.
Any questions? Happy to move on?
I'll give my apologies already for Thursday because I know that I won't be back from a meeting I have, a rearranged planning meeting. I won't be back in time to make it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cottle.
So item 5 is to review the latest crime statistics report.
Thank you, Worship. They were circulated in advance, but I'll put it up on the screen.
We can look that way. Clever. Councillor Dunn Francesco.
Yes, two things. Mainly, notably, it's April.
Yes, so that's obviously the latest set of statistics that the police have put on their website.
I know exactly. So I was, yes, wondering if we could get a more up-to-date one, because I know the summer has been quite full on, especially in the high street. And also just to note that we are still one of the highest crime areas in Somerset for our town and for its size. And
I don't think that's quite correct, Councillor Don Francesco, not the advice we got in a town centre crime reduction advisory committee.
town centre, yes, it's going down. Glastonbury as a whole, though, it is of worry. Find the other one.
I don't think that's the advice we got from the police, but it's for the town centre crime reduction advisory committee to take a look at.
Councillor Cottle.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. If it goes back to where we were, I'm really concerned about the violence and sexual offences, and I think that's been like that for a little while, if I remember correctly.
Because of the way that the police lump different offences together, and they've told us that's not going to change because that's how they do it nationally. So that could be anything from someone giving someone a shove and being reported for it to something a lot more serious.
More serious, yeah.
It has been fed back to them several times, Councillor Cottle. That's not very helpful, but they won't change it.
I think we need to try maybe find another approach, because I really don't like the look of those. They look terrible, that figure. Okay. Thanks.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Osborne.
I really would like it if the police would turn up to one of these town council meetings. Not only are these statistics, which frankly I think are rubbish. I mean, we heard earlier that there are infant drug dealers up on the hill, and yet apparently there's hardly any drug crime here because it's about reportage, not about what actually happens.
Sure.
And it's very much, I'm sorry to say this, but it's very much skewed to protect the police in their role. It's their box ticking that we're being shown and how beautifully well they're doing on things, but it doesn't actually reflect reality. And I agree with Councillor Don Francesco that this town, outside of the high street area even, is actually having crime increasing. It's not being reflected in this, what they're showing us, and they don't even bother to turn up.
Councillor Cook and then Councillor Manning.
Yeah, I really do agree with this, that we've got to separate it out somehow, because where I live in Benedict Street, I can assure you I've seen a significant amount of violence take place with people being arrested and taken off, and yet nothing on, you know. Now this isn't good enough, it really isn't, and then lump it in with sexual offences, which can range from anything to, you know, touching a minor to an actual rape in the back of the church. I mean, it's crazy. Unless we really know and understand who's doing what in this town, how can we react? You know, we're asking at the moment for this sound thing to go out and, you know, report people. I mean, who in their right mind is going to do that at night in this town at the moment when we don't know what is going on? We really don't. I think until we actually address the whole thing, and all this nonsense that is coming out here, that's hearsay. It's total hearsay. Oh, they're doing drugs, kids, they're doing this, you know, blah, blah, blah. We need evidence. You know, we need police evidence that that is what is going on, which we can discuss in private session and agree a set plan and an action plan to deal with it. At the moment, it's all just pie in the sky, isn't it? You know, nobody knows anything. And we're actually putting people's lives and livelihood in danger by not, you know, instigating a proper investigation into the whole aspect of what is going on in this town. We really are. putting a lot of people in potential danger, thinking it's safe. It's not. I wouldn't go at night there anymore, to be honest. I've seen too much of it now, too much, in the last 6 months, and no reports.
Councillor Manning, did you?
Well, a couple of things. Firstly, I do have regular meetings with the police as chair of the Town Centre Crime Reduction Committee. We had a meeting last month, and the message that we are getting from the police that the crime rate is falling in this town. And certainly anecdotally, from speaking to the shopkeepers, for the most part, things are calmer this year in terms of violent crime in the high street than in previous years. I would like to pick a hole. There's on the stats that Connor's put up, where it says crimes by outcomes. If we scroll down to that box there, you've got various outcomes. This isn't at all helpful, those things, because the outcomes are basically things that, well, most of the things that they're doing, but the one thing that it doesn't show is how many people are being charged as a result of the investigations. So basically, there's a whole load of reasons why people have not been charged, but it just seems to be that everybody else is in the under investigation, I guess, and they just disappear. We could do with that figure, because that could be good PR for the police to know that they are actually doing something. So if we are going to write to them about getting more information, that is something I would like.
Councillor Don Francesco and Councillor Much. Indra?
Thank you. Sorry, just saying, so I'm also a member of the Crime Reduction Committee, and we've had maybe not everyone has got this, but Matt Reid, he's given a latest report, and in that he says higher rates of crime and antisocial behaviour in Glastonbury generally. This is called harm data. Glastonbury is a relatively small town with a population of approximately 9,000 people. However, its crime rate is reported as being significantly higher per head of population than the average for the southwest region and higher than the national average. It does go on. I'm happy to circulate this. And also, do people...
the next date of the crime reduction meeting?
Off the top of my head, Your Worship, no.
I know when it is.
Councillor Much.
Thank you, Worship. I read the sort of heavyweight press quite regularly from both ends of the political spectrum, and what I read there, which provides a little background to this whole situation of law enforcement, is that certainly under the last government, the recognition that there aren't enough prisons for the prisoners that are there at the moment is the block on everything which filters down from that, and that the police have actually been kind of given the nod to say, can you stop arresting so many people? And that, to put it in graphic and simple terms, is the message that apparently has filtered down. Because that's the ultimate deterrent. You know, if you take people that have got nothing, fines are hopeless, if their lives are in such a state of disarray that they just don't respect the law, then there's nothing really you can do to them except incarcerate them, and you can't incarcerate them because the prisons are absolutely chock-a-block. And we won't move away from a prison building programme that is different from the current model where you have great big brick prisons in the middle of cities. I was reading in the Second World War where foreign enemy troops were locked up. We had, what was 500,000? Yes, 500,000. But they were living in wooden huts, you know, a la The Great Escape. One German prisoner escaped throughout the entire Second World War. So it's not really our responsibility as a council to change the entire prison system. But it's worth being able to recognise the big problem that exists, which is putting a lid on everything else. Am I talking for too long?
We do have a general power of competence, but I don't think it extends to building prisons. So I'll just say it's clearly an issue of concern to the council, and I respect that. We do have the Crime Reduction Committee. I'm just asking if we know the date of the next meeting. And my guess is the police prefer to come to that rather than come here, but it is open to any councillor to attend that committee. So that may be a way forward, and just press them a bit harder than they have been pressed. Is there any more to say, or shall we move on? Councillor Smythe?
I'd just like to give a vote of thanks to Inspector Reid.
Who's leaving, isn't he?
He's doing other things at the moment. And
yes.
Look forward to meeting the new inspector, who
Yes.
Currently has a broken ankle, apparently.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So let's move on to consider the schedule of payments, which we have been circulated already, and hopefully we've queried anything we want to query in advance, so that Connor and Jane can prepare an answer in advance. But here it is. Councillor Wendy Deagle.
So, 3813, Ecotricity, the EV charger.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, we must be coming towards the end of the 5-year period where we were giving it away for free. And I was wondering if that could be looked into to find out at what point we start charging for people using the charger. I know my brother will be very upset at me raising this point because he likes to use it when he visits. But I do think in terms of the town council, we ought to start getting our money back for the electricity used.
Maybe another item for property and assets.
Maybe that could be referred to property and assets.
Can we do that, property and assets?
Yeah, I will try and find the details of the agreement for zero carbon rules, and I'll put it on the list for property and assets to consider. Might not be the next meeting, depending on how jam-packed the agenda is, but I will put it on for a future agenda, whether it's the next one or the one after.
Great, thank you. Any other items on the schedule of payments? Otherwise, are we happy to accept them? Need to sign it? Thank you very much. Oh, that page. Can I borrow your pen? Thank you.
Please.
So the next one is the budget monitoring report, closely linked but different. Can you sign it as well? So we're 3 months into the, no, it's just, that's it. That's great, thank you. So the budget monitoring report, yes. I believe Jane is still working on reformatting this in a way to make it easier to read and more relevant to us, but she hasn't got there yet.
In terms of that, Your Worship, it's incredibly difficult to reformat a report from Sage without quite significant. Essentially, what you have to do is export it to an Excel and then play around with it, and that's very time consuming. Finance and general purposes will be receiving an update on both banking and accounting, because we are planning to move accounting system for next financial year, and that's when you'll get a much easier to understand budget monitoring report.
Any questions on the budget? Councillor Henderson.
I'm just looking at the bottom line there. The variance surely is a lot more than it says. The actual and the budget, the variance is obviously quite a lot, and it looks like the
Which section are you looking at, Councillor Henderson?
bottom line.
It's not adding up.
The actual is 698,000. The actual is 90,000, and the variance is only 60,000. Well, that can't be right, surely.
No, it should all add up, shouldn't it?
I'll feed that into Jane.
That is true, yes. Yeah, well spotted. Any other questions on the budget? It looks to me that the budget on the tribunal or the town museum, halfway down page 1, kind of looks like it's coming in under budget at the moment. Because we're kind of well into the summer, but it's only a couple of thousand to come in.
Yes, you're probably right, Your Worship. It was always a bit of a finger in the air, because it's a brand new venture for the town council, and presently don't have a manager in place to really promote it, but that position is being interviewed for actually tomorrow. So hopefully by August time, there'll be someone in really to drum up visitors into there. I'm working hard with the team we have already. But yes, we are a person down. We should also come in under budget on the expenditure as well. So we'll wait toward the end of the financial year, and for want of a better expression, it might all come out in the wash. Is that it for queries, Your Worship?
Any other queries? Happy to move on? Okay. So, to item 8, to receive an update on the Somerset Council Asset and Service devolution from yourself.
Thank you, Worship. I'll stand for this one so everyone can see me. We've been given a key decision date of October for the asset and service devolution work to work with Somerset Council. So that potentially means if Somerset Council can meet their own deadline, moving quite quickly. So hence my suggestion to Council to establish a subcommittee. Now, the reason I'm suggesting a subcommittee is because they will be able to make some decisions over expenditure. So there will be some things that we have to do that will cost money. We'll probably need legal support from our side. We will potentially need condition surveys, etc., on various assets that we might wish to take into our own control. We may need condition surveys, etc., done. So that subcommittee won't specifically make decisions over exactly what the full council will or will not take over. They'll do the detailed work. They'll do the investigatory work, but then the decision will be made by full council. But that allows us to work quickly if we need to pay solicitors, etc., that subcommittee can make that decision. I've had a meeting also with Hayley Wilkins. So this council is engaging the consultancy services of a former Assistant Chief Executive at Mendip District Council, who is also actually the devolution officer now for Wells City Council. So she's been doing a lot of work and understands the process, and the staffing committee agreed to engage her specific skills to bolster that we already have here in the town council. So the team to actually physically deliver this will be myself, the assistant town clerk, the projects officer, and with the help of Hayley Wilkins and the rest of the team where necessary. But obviously councillors need to make a decision over what you do and do not want to bring in-house, etc. It's essentially. So that's my suggestion, Your Worship. Happy to take questions. I don't have a nuts and bolts update since we shared our vision for what we wanted all the way back at the end of last year. That's been reiterated to Somerset Council. I will mention we have not signed the service level agreement for CCTV. We've committed to support it, but I'm still not happy with the service level agreement, so we haven't signed that yet. And we are paying for the toilets to be cleaned and stocked at St John's. I've had a draft copy of a lease, which again I've said that we will not be signing because it's for too long a term. But until then, the building is the responsibility of Somerset Council, but we are paying for them to be opened and closed. So that's my update, Your Worship. Happy to take any questions where I possibly can.
So I've got Councillor Cottle, Smythe and Rooney Dougal.
Okay, if I can go first. Yeah, Conor, I'm really quite interested in what you're suggesting there. And I would certainly like to be a member of your working group or whatever to act as a conduit to maybe aid, shall we say, anything that's needed. Okay, so that's me volunteering. I shouldn't do that, but I am.
Very good.
It's a question for Conor. Do you anticipate this to be a continuous working group beyond October, or is it just a task and finish group up to October? And how often do you envisage this group meet?
I would hope, Councillor Smythe, it will cease to need to exist come October. I wouldn't be surprised if it needs to exist for a little bit longer. I think Somerset Council have gone through the various towns and parishes, and they've given each town and parish a different key decision date, because I've heard that Wells's key decision date is actually the end of September, and I've been told October. So I'm guessing they are trying to stagger the work, but we have a lot of questions about how they're going to follow through with the process, because I had an introductory meeting with the Climate Emergency and Resilience Officer and the Projects Officer and Hayley Wilkins yesterday, and there were a lot of questions being raised about what Somerset Council is or isn't doing, should and shouldn't be doing during the process of these discussions with towns and parishes. So that's a long answer to say I hope October, but I reckon probably a bit longer, maybe the rest of this calendar year. And in terms of how often we will need to meet and how quickly, another reason for it being a subcommittee is that it is not bound by the need for 3 clear days' notice for an agenda. So if I get an email on a Monday morning and it requires a very quick decision that week, that subcommittee, providing people are free and available, could meet in as little as when I've finalised an agenda. So that's a quicker way of us being able to meet and make decisions. I would imagine, because of the pace of this, we're probably going to need to be meeting maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. But until we're in the process, I really don't know.
I ask this question regularly every time. How are we doing with the car park?
I've had positive noises from Somerset Council about the freehold of the car park that we already have a leasehold over. My meeting with Hayley Wilkins has thrown in other sort of questions, because I've heard there's another town who doesn't have a lease on their car park, has provisionally been told that they can have a car park. So that sort of pricked my ears up a little bit, thinking, well, hang on a minute here. That's why it's really keen to work together as towns to make sure that no one's getting a rougher deal than someone else. I've had positive noises, but I haven't had anything in writing. But I have stressed in every meeting I've had with the head of operations, etc., and the asset team at Somerset Council, that that's our red line. If we're going to have a discussion about anything and save them any money, we need the freehold of that car park. I have also actually lumped into our red lines, I took the liberty of doing it, St Edmunds Community Hall and the land.
That was going to be my second point.
So those two are our red line. They have to be a yes for a full freehold transfer for us to consider anything else.
And presumably the toilets in St John's car park.
Yes.
We're having to manage them, we want them freehold, don't we?
Yes, so we want them freehold. So I've been given a draft of a lease for 25 years. I said, no, we won't sign that. That's far too long. Because if we sign that, they'll put it in a drawer and they'll completely forget about it and you'll never get the freehold. Now, I think the reason they might be keen for a leasehold in the short term is because if the title for the piece of land is not separate for the toilets and the car park, it can be quite a lot of work splitting a title with the land registry. So it may well be that we negotiate and go, right, we'll have a lease for 3 years, 5 years, but then at the end of that, we want the freehold. And what we want is a commitment in writing that that's what the end goal will be. And also the topic of indemnities was raised, so that if we get so far through a process thinking that something's going to happen, and then something changes at Somerset Council, we need that indemnity to either ensure that despite whatever changes, what we agreed still goes through, or there is financial compensation. So that's one of the queries that was raised, but I'm working quite hard on it. So St Edmunds and the car park are at the moment our red lines.
Thank you very much.
So I've got Councillor Smythe and then Councillor White.
Very much. We're already in danger of having a meeting within a meeting, so thank you for the reply you gave me, Connor, and I fully recommend that we take up your suggestion, and I'd like to propose that we form a subcommittee with the terms of reference suggested, and I'm looking for a seconder. I'd like to be, and as long as the meetings are in the evenings after 6, I'm very happy to attend those that I can get to.
Are we happy to move to vote on that?
Right.
Yeah.
Have you got a
So
seconder?
all those in favour of, all those in favour of establishing this committee? That is unanimous, I think.
Then I'm just going to read the second.
So do we now need to choose the members?
Yes, please, Your Worship.
So who would like to be on the committee?
I've already volunteered, although I don't like the nighttime stuff.
Do you want to say your names out for Connor's benefit?
Yeah. White.
Don Francesco.
Smythe.
Manning.
Henderson.
That's 6.
Thank you. Yes, councillors Cottle, White, Don Francesco, Smythe, Henderson and Manning.
Those who are absent, we have to ask those as well.
Brilliant.
Yes, so when the
Okay.
subcommittee meets, if other people wish to then join, the subcommittee can make that decision. It's not a problem.
So we're happy to move on with that, leave it to those 6? Yeah, great. Number 9, another update on St Dunstan's House Community Health and Wellbeing.
Thank you, Worship. You asked for this to come to the meeting again to give councillors an update. I do have a positive update since the last meeting. Well, a couple of them, actually. Everyone will have seen that Malheush and Saunders have made a start. They came and stamped their mark on the building as of yesterday, as of Monday. And they are, of course, very welcome, and we are incredibly excited that it's all going to be starting. I won't use the expression kicking off, starting. I also have a positive update in terms of the funding side of it. We are still awaiting a decision on our Community Ownership Fund application. But we have been awarded an additional reallocation from the town deal. So the Robert Richards initiative is all about green energy, new technologies, etc., etc. So I, with our consultants, made a proposal to the Town Hall programme team that the integrated solar photovoltaic panels in the glass ceiling of the atrium, which are an amazing piece of kit, our air source heat pump, which will heat the new atrium and St Dunstan's House, and also the electric boiler, because we use renewable electricity, which will be the backup in the winter when it gets really cold, that should be funded by the Robert Richards initiative, because we were going through a series of value engineering to bring the cost of the project down whilst also raising grant funding to meet the cost of the project. And I'm pleased to say that we've been given a reallocation of £151,000 for all of those. So that's an extra £150,000 of capital funding for the project, and will ensure that those really important bits of technology are still part of the building. I also have an update in terms of the preparedness of the building, ready so that when it opens there are things happening. I've noticed Jack Cross in the audience. I won't put Jack on the spot, but the West Mendip Primary Care Network have used some of their own funds to fund a full-time member of staff. This job is now live, so it's in the public domain, to work in the West Mendip area to improve people's health and well-being. Now, that's 2 days a week looking at St Dunstan's House specifically, and 3 days a week looking at projects that benefit the communities of the West Mendip Primary Care Network area, with a view to some of those activities and sessions then, when the building is open, being delivered out of St Dunstan's House. So that's a really important resource in terms of revenue funding, which is difficult to get hold of, and frankly this town council did not have a spare £40,000 sat in the bank. But that will help us to ensure that, yes, we have a beautiful gleaming building, but that it actually gets used from day one. So they're two very exciting developments that have been confirmed since the last meeting, but we still continue to work with the contractors to bring the cost of the project down and to seek grant funding before the town council has to investigate other sources of funding that would cost it money. So that's my update. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. I'd particularly like to thank Jack's Cross for helping us secure the funding into the use of the building, because that's just looking ahead into the future, beyond the building work to the actual project, which is the whole point of the whole thing. So thank you very much. Any questions? Yes. Thank you. Any questions? Nope. Maybe another update next month and maybe more good news. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, indeed. All right, number 10, to receive and consider a motion from Councillors Smythe and McDougall.
Your Worship, all councillors will have received background information on this. Some councillors have already supported this individually. It's purely an application to a government central fund of £30,000 for Avalon Community Energy, so that they can distribute it accordingly to those in need, those households in need in and around this area. I think each chunk is about £300 upwards, so this 30,000 would serve 1,000 households for those in need, especially those in deprived areas such as St Edmunds and St Benedict's. And I think it's, I wish them every success with this application, and they would like the support of this council in order to achieve a successful result. So the motion that I'd like to read out is: this council supports Avalon Community Energy Community Benefit Funds application to Energy Saving Trust for funding of £30,000 from the central government's Energy Redress Scheme to support households at risk of cold homes and high energy bills. And as I say, Glastonbury has areas of high deprivation and there's a continuing need for such a scheme. So I'd like to put that to the council.
So you're proposing it. Can it be seconded by somebody absent?
Yes, so it's already seconded, Your Worship, and as long as there's someone to move the motion, i.e. Councillor Smythe, then it's for the council to consider.
Fine, fine. Councillor Rooney-Dougal?
I'd quite like to give some information for the councillors about this, because I've been quite involved with the ACE Community Benefit Fund, in that, if you remember, we had the Sunlit Solar scheme that we supported Sunlit Solar to give low price installations for PV panels in Glastonbury, and also now that's extended to street, and they've been doing it in Wedmore. And if you remember, part of it was that every installation, £50 would go to ACE Community Benefit Fund. So I've been aware that what they've been doing with it is with social services. So social services will recommend somebody to them who is in energy poverty and who needs help, let's say insulated curtains, draft proofing, whatever it might be, to help them reduce their energy costs. And up until now, ACE have been giving £300 per person, but actually with the cost of living crisis and everything, £300 isn't going very far these days. So by getting this extra funding will enable them to be able to up that to £1,000 per person. And it really does help the poorest people in town reduce their energy costs. And if you remember, we did the energy reduction leaflet, and part of that came from the work we'd done with the climate emergency group and the thermal imaging camera, if you remember, going around people's houses. And we borrowed that from Maddie Mills, because that's what they use with this community benefit fund. So done a lot of work with them over the years, and I really recommend that this council supports this.
Councillor Henderson?
Chair. Just quick question. Is the £1,000 worth of help, is that actually provided in products and aid for that household, or is the £1,000 given as a lump sum of money?
Cash or kit?
Sorry, yes, it might still have given it back to me. And what they've been doing is they've been giving the person the money to enable them, and they've been advising them spend this money on the carpets, the curtains, and so on and so forth. So
how do we know that's what it gets spent on then?
So fully accountable.
Okay.
Fully accountable, absolutely, yes.
Government money has to be.
Okay.
That's what we know ourselves with the town bill.
Good.
But they aren't actually saying, we will buy you your curtains. No, they are free to buy their insulated curtains, but it's fully invoiced and so on.
Okay, well, I'd just like to say, I mean, if somebody gave me £1,000 and said, do your house up, I'd probably be quite unsure of what was the best thing to buy. So presumably they buy whatever is needed, mostly under advice. Yeah, yeah.
They are fully supported in doing it. It's just that with the nature of the thing, they can't actually say, we are going to get you this carpet because that's going to reduce the underfloor drafts.
Yeah.
What they're going to say is, here's the money for the carpet to reduce the underfloor drafts, and you've got to fully invoice, and it's all got to be absolutely clear. And the advice is here that this is actually your best thing to do. And that's what, hence the thermal imaging camera, actually going around the house or flat or whatever it might be, and helping them work out where they're losing most energy and what would be the best solution for it. And if you remember that leaflet that we gave, you know, that's partly informed by this work of Maddie and Avalon.
Very good.
Are we happy to move to vote on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So all those in favour of supporting the application? I think that's unanimous again.
Perfect.
It's unanimous. Brilliant. So next up, to receive the updated code of practice for street performing in Glastonbury. So I've got a copy here, and consider the number to print for distribution. So here it is. Yep.
So the format of the leaflet is double-sided and then the ends are folded in on one another, so it looks slightly strange on the screen.
Sure.
So when it gets printed, you'll have that front cover, the image, and then it will actually be the other side of that screen, engagement and phone numbers. And that panel in the middle is actually the back.
Yep.
So this has been updated by the Town Centre Crime Reduction Committee. You agreed to their update on wording, and then what I've done is I've just made it into an attractive leaflet. So, and then on the inside, when you open it out, it will actually be in this order. So what I'm asking your worship is for the Town Council to make a decision, one, that you're happy to accept how it's been designed.
Looks very nice.
And two, how many you'd like to print.
Councillor Henderson?
Well, perhaps a question for Paul. I think we need to print an amount that gets us good value for money. I mean, they're not going to rot or fall apart. You know, we could get a good run done of these, Paul. Whatever you suggest is a good amount. Hand them out to the shop traders, etc., etc. I remember when we first made the initial buskers charter several years ago. It was done with the help of the buskers, and it worked really well for a while. And I think, to be honest, in general, it's been a good piece of work. And to be perfectly honest, the majority of buskers in the town, especially where I see them outside the butchers, are very good. And the ones that kind of flaunt this advice tend to be the worst ones, the ones that aren't much good. So yeah, I think this is a real good update, Connor. I really like it. All for it. But as John was saying, the crux of it is enforcement. If you've got somebody that's playing really loudly and annoying everybody, how do you stop them doing it? And so I think as long as we follow it up with a bit of enforcement, then I think all for it.
So would you like to propose number to print?
Well, I'm asking Paul's advice, really.
Okay. And then,
I mean, I don't know.
So Paul, and then Councillor Cook, and then Councillor Smythe.
It is a difficult one to know how many to print. When we did the ones before, they were distributed to several of the shops in the town centre and a lot of the GIC, and I believe that there was quite a lot left at the GIC as well. The actual, if we were to print, I don't know, 1,000, for example, you'd probably, and I'm not tending for business here, by the way, it would probably cost about £130, £50, something like that.
Yep.
If you were to print 2,000, it might cost 50 quid more. So the price does come down with volume. But that's a good, no pun intended. And the question is really how long is the leaflet like to be valid for? I know the intention is that it is something that could go year on, but it may be that, you know, if after this summer we might think we'll actually need some more tweaks or something, because there's certain things we need to. So I don't know the answer, so I'm not being very helpful at all here.
Okay.
I'll sit down. Thank you.
Then have Councillor Cook, and then Smythe, and then.
Yeah, a bit worried about this the music side of it. On account of the fact it's very unclear about the difference here in between acoustic and amplifier. And as far as I'm aware, unless the laws changed, it might have done since 2003.
Have we agreed the wording?
You have to have a license for amplified music. Simple as that. End of story. Wherever it is, out in your back garden or wherever.
So I think.
There's motorbikes as well.
So Councillor Cook, I think we've agreed. The wording has been agreed. We're not looking to change the wording at this point. We're looking to adopt it and just decide how many to print.
Well, that's what I'm worried. Where I'm worried, because it's very unclear So that
Not
therefore
really,
we come out
it's not. 30 metres. 30 metres.
From somebody who's had experience in this industry for quite some considerable time, it is very unclear. And people are very good at giving excuses why they're allowed to play, and they profess that they're allowed to play when they're not. Now, but then you go on to talk about the licences. Performers must not set up a pitch within 50 metres, etc. And then there's about the selling of CDs, street trade. Now, that's probably more essential of a target than actually the sound, because like you said, Steve, most of the buskers who play here, know how it works. They're in the business, they're playing at clubs or whatever, so they know how it all works.
So I think our job
Point of order, we've agreed the words, Your Worship.
We've agreed the words.
Well, I'm just saying that I think you're wasting a lot of money here. If that's to go out.
Attends more committee meetings, then he might be able to have an influence on the wording.
Well, it'd be nice to have a list of what's on it.
Councillor Ronya Dougal.
Yeah, I'm talking not so much about the numbers to print, although I think that
that is the business. That is the business before us.
What?
That is the business before us.
I know, and I'm looking at the quote that you've got, and I'm just wanting to say that with regard to the leaflets that we've been printing private emergency group, we've done the 3 quotes, and we found that Jump are not the cheapest.
Okay.
We found that St Andrews Press are the cheapest, and they will do it on recycled paper. And so when we actually go to print, I would like to recommend that we get a quote from St Andrews Press on the recycled paper as well. Sure. I would say probably go for the lower end, go for 1,000 to start with, because maybe there is changes of wording needed that will come out in the light of things. And there's not that many buskers actually. Sure. I think 1,000 will probably go quite a long way. So I would recommend going for 1,000, and I'd recommend getting a quote from St Andrews Press.
Fabulous, thank you. Councillor Smythe?
I'd like to concur with Councillor Ronya Dougal.
So do we have a proposal to print 1,000? And a seconder? And a seconder to print 1,000? Are we happy to move to vote on that?
Who seconded, sorry, Your Worship?
Councillor Smythe. So all those in favour of printing 1,000 as opposed to more or less? All those against it? Then that's all of us, 2 against. So we will print 1,000, which is the minimum, which will allow us to revise the wording as earlier rather than later. Cool.
Thank you.
So moving on to number 12, an update from the South West Heritage Trust Funding Working Group. And I think we've got Sam with us as well, who can address us. Are you going to give the update, or?
I wasn't going to, Your Worship. I was hoping that a member of that working group would. You may wish to invite Sam, the Chief Executive, to speak either before or after councillors.
Okay. So Sam, do you want to, Councillor Smythe?
I was just going to comment that the working group is proceeding at great speed, and it's a very useful working group. But from what we've heard tonight about the devolution of services, we won't know until October how much is going to be thrown our way. So I'm very reluctant to make any decision tonight, although obviously we want to see the Rural Life Museum flourish. But I do believe they're also putting in applications elsewhere for funding. Sure. So I'm very happy to hear what Sam has to say, but I think we should defer, err on the side of caution until October.
I think, Councillor Smythe, it was never the intention to make a decision tonight. I believe the working group wanted to update council so that they had at least a month to think about anything. But yes, you may wish to now invite the Chief Executive, Your Worship, to speak.
So Sam, do you want to come and address us? If possible, stick to 3 minutes, just because that's the standard for all of our speeches of any sort.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. And thank you to those councillors who form part of the working group. It's been really good to be in touch with the council and to be engaged. As you all know from my previous time with you, the Trust, like many organisations in the county, has been impacted by the challenges facing local government in Somerset, and particularly facing Somerset Council, our principal funder, who have had to reduce core support for the South West Heritage Trust and by extension to the Somerset Rural Life Museum. The Rural Life Museum is a key cultural venue in Glastonbury, creating over £1 million to the local economy. And last year, the site welcomed over 30,000 visitors, including thousands of young people who participated in learning workshops for schools. Our status as a national portfolio organisation funded by the Arts Council has also enabled the site to expand its programme, offering early years activities for those starting out in life as well as their parents and carers. And the museum is becoming an increasingly ambitious social prescribing venue, working with partners in Mendip. And the site is offering a range of cultural experiences for underserved audiences, and demand is high. Above all, we hope to create a close partnership with the Town Council that will enable the museum to deliver a civic role in the town to the benefit of Glastonbury and its residents. Without funding support from the Town Council at this stage, opening hours at the site would need to be reduced by up to 2 days a week throughout the year, and such a reduction would obviously severely affect the site's accessibility to tourists and local visitors too. The site's public programme would be reduced, resulting in fewer opportunities for local schools and community organisations to use the site. The ability of the site to increase revenue from visitor spend would be severely affected across all areas of the business, including the cafe and shop, and roles at the museum would be put at risk. Insufficient funds would limit the variety and scope of exhibitions, resulting in fewer opportunities to showcase diverse art and heritage collections, and a reduction in the museum's ability to promote itself effectively. And of course, prolonged funding shortages would jeopardise the museum's long-term viability, making it harder to attract donors, sponsors and grants. If funding is secured from the grant, the Trust would endeavour to provide the Town Council with a strong return on investment, ensure the museum can continue to play a leading role in Glastonbury's future. This is a request for investment. It's not a handout, and we would, as I say, want to provide the Town Council with a strong return on investment. Thank you.
Thank you. So questions or reflections? So I don't think we're not being asked to make a decision tonight, just to inform ourselves fully about your situation. Councillor Osborne?
Thank you for providing such a forensic kind of explanation of what you need and why. It's really refreshing to actually get a proper kind of business plan in front of us. Thank you.
Councillor
Just a
Henderson.
quick question, which may be too early, but obviously we've had a change of government. Is there any suggestion that the new government will have a different sort of attitude towards local council funding? Because I know when the Blair government came in, they made entry to museums free, didn't they? I think that was the first time that had ever happened, which was quite a...
Yes, you're right. National museums were made.
So I just wondered if there's any sort of commitment. I haven't Labour manifesto, to be perfectly honest, but
no, there's been heritage and culture have only been touched in very light terms in terms of the manifesto. Those of us working in the sector are not expecting, at least in the short term, for there to be a substantive change in government policy regarding funding.
Okay.
And of course, the situation we're facing as a trust and which affects the Royal Life Museum is a very immediate one.
Sure.
Our new financial year begins on the 1st of November, so
okay.
we're very keen to secure support if we can before.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
It's not really related to the actual trust fund, it's to the funding itself, but the barn, the wonderful big barn, are there any plans to use the barn more, maybe with events or
Well, no, and
go in there and just, yeah.
Well, one thing that I would like to really emphasise to the council members here this evening is that we will take our own steps as well to make the site more financially sustainable, and that's very much outlined in the business plan, and details of the business contained within the document. And we certainly want to see the site used more fully for events and use the Abbey Barn more fully and more commercially, and that's part of a range of initiatives we will begin and have begun to ensure that we are playing our role in creating a more sustainable future for the site. But that core support, that core funding from councils or government funding is still essential for providing that baseline.
Councillor Cottle.
Yeah, I've got a query. Well, not really a query. So do you think that you will ever become sustainable?
I think that our funding model is one that does rely on some significant support from government organisations, whether that's a town council, a local authority, or from central government money through the Arts Council. So we certainly want to play our role in owning our own future, but there will always need to be, in this kind of museum and cultural provision, some support from government in a variety of forms.
Okay, that's elsewhere. Thank you.
Got Councillor Osborne and then Smythe.
In response to Councillor Cockle, it is very unusual for a museum to actually be a profit-making entity. They need some sort of subsidy generally.
Yeah. Thank you, Worship. As Sam knows, we've discussed at length possibilities of how to improve the revenue for the place. I'll just share with other councillors here that one of the biggest problems we have in Glastonbury is car parking. And there's car parking spaces there for around about 50 cars, which I think is very much underused. I know that you've raised the car parking fee to £5 for from £3 to £5 for a day for non-museum goers. But I was thinking perhaps you could investigate prospects of further enhancing your revenue from the car park with automatic vehicle recognition plates perhaps in the future, perhaps for overnight parking in the future, and that sort of thing. That's what I wanted to share with the other councillors, because I know we've discussed this. The other thing is, question, have you approached Street and Wells Town Council yet, because the sphere of influence of the Rural Life Museum isn't just Glastonbury.
Well, thank you. And just to say that the proposals and ideas around the car parking will be taken forward by the Trust. That was something that Connor's been very helpfully suggested, and we do feel that moving to a new place in terms of car parking provision would provide benefit. In terms of contact with other town councils in Somerset, our substantive conversations at this stage have been with town councils where in the places where we run museums, so Taunton Town Council and Bridgewater Town Council have both committed to the respective museums in those areas. Bridgewater Town Council for the Somerset Brick and Tile Museum, and Taunton Town Council last night agreed support for the Museum of Somerset. Once we are perhaps slightly further ahead in terms of agreeing, or the council agreeing, if support could be possible for the Rural Life Museum, we would certainly endeavour to contact Street and Wells town councils, parish and town councils to discuss the potential for support. But as I say, our substantive conversations would be with those councils where we in the places where we run museum sites.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So moving on, yeah. Number 13, noting the resolutions of delegated committees.
Thank you, Worship. These are only for noting.
Sure. That's all of them, I think. Coming right up to yesterday. Happy to proceed? Very good. So receiving updates from advisory committees and any recommendations for decision.
There you go, Your Worship. So you take them in alphabetical order. if someone could propose that these recommendations are either accepted or rejected. They have now appeared on that screen over there. And then for a vote to be taken, that would be much appreciated.
Councillor Roney-Dougal?
I'm happy to propose the neighbourhood plan advisory committee recommendation.
No, we'll do number A first. The crime.
I'm happy to propose that.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Osborne. So all those in favour of inviting Somerset to continue the PSPO on the High Street?
Before we go to vote, can I just explain what this means? Because just so everybody is aware, there has been a PSPO in place in the town centre, which meant that basically that it was alcohol free. So alcohol could be taken away or asked to be taken away from people who were drinking. That PSPO has come to an end. Right. So there's no powers at the moment for the police to do anything in that respect.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is, look, we need to have this in the town centre, otherwise it's going to be, especially at the current climate, with weather and everything, it will be a very awful summer on the high street.
Thanks. Yep. So we've got a proposer and a seconder. Mike?
I just noticed that it's a plural, so could you explain where the other ones are?
There's one about dogs. Dogs on leads and things.
Lead, and if they poo, it's £1,000 fine.
That's PSPO.
Yeah.
Dog fouling, yeah.
So we're moving to vote on that. All those in favour of the PSPOs continuing? Yeah. Is that unanimous? I think that's unanimous again. So moving on to B, Neighbourhood Plan Advisory Committee spending up to £1,500 for its leaflet, coming from last year's underspend.
Okay, so part of the neighbourhood plan that's really important is that there's consultation with the people of Glastonbury about what the neighbourhood plan is. And step one with that is to present them with the visions and objectives that have been agreed by the neighbourhood plan committee in consultation with Planet, the consultants, who have put this leaflet together. The neighbourhood plan committee have looked at the leaflet and made some changes and agreed it. And now we need to print it and get it distributed. And it was reckoned that would cost about £1,500 in total. Hopefully a bit less than that. So I would like to propose that the town council agree this sum of £1,500 for this essential leaflet as part of the neighbourhood plan.
Councillor Smythe?
Second that proposal.
So it's in the budget. Are we happy to move to vote on that? So all those in favour of the leaflet to inform the town, that is unanimous again. Very good.
Okay,
and the open day.
Yeah. So once that has happened, we then have to have the open day, the consultation with people. So they've seen the visions and objectives, and then the consultation open day will ask them for what people feel about the various different aspects of the neighbourhood plan that have gone in. You know, that's residential, that's industrial, that's green spaces, and so on and so forth. And so we were hoping, as you can see, that we would have it in October, but then the time to get the leaflets out and then basically in the survey and get stuff back meant that the 3rd of November was going to be the earliest that we could actually do it. And partly because 13th of October is going to be World Heritage Status Week. So as you will see further down, that there's been a swap between the two. And we would like to use the town hall for that and for this committee, please accept that for the neighbourhood plan.
So you're proposing that. Councillor Smythe happy to second it again. Are we happy to move to vote on this open day? All those in favour? That is again unanimous. Fantastic. So climate and ecological emergency, nothing. Community review, nothing. I could give an update on the community review steering group. We've had about 3 meetings we're basically devising a questionnaire of 30 questions to go to all the town council residents, just asking them what they think about the 30 questions. We've identified the areas of priority, and now we're choosing the questions under those different headings. And it's slowly coming into focus as to what we're doing and why. And I think it's going well. Yeah, that's it really. The next meeting is coming up soon on Monday. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, World Heritage. So we're swapping the 2 dates.
I'd like to propose that we have the meeting on the Sunday the 13th of October, which suited the 2 consultants and suited everybody actually. So that's all.
So again, this is us starting to ask the opinions of the town, what they think about us going down the World Heritage route, and just telling them more about what it involves. An essential step, as Serena said. So do we need a proposer and seconder for that?
A quick question. I noticed in the schedule of payments, that I think we paid about £5,000 to a consultant about the heritage.
That's out of 30,000.
Does that relate to this recommendation in any way, or what does that entail?
So what it is that for the meeting, posters need to be printed and leaflets sent out, and that's what up to 1,000 is being asked for that in order to support this consultation. So again, the people of Glastonbury can see what it is that's being proposed, where we've got to, and can be consulted on it so that they can, we need to bring the whole town with us on this. And that's what it's about, is asking people what do they think, what is their input, and that's why this is over and above the money we're paying the consultants. This is for opening up the town hall and putting up information for them.
And will we be
That's what we're asking
reporting on that 5,000 is spent on, though? We'll hear about what that money's going towards.
Yes, sure. Okay, so there's 2 recommendations there. So first is the neighbourhood plan, is the World Heritage Open Day. So all those in favour?
Oh, sorry, Your Worship, I've got a proposer that's accepted. I didn't get to note a seconder.
I proposed and Mike seconded, or the other way around, I can't remember. Yes, I seconded and Mike proposed. That's what it says on the thing.
Yeah, so that was for this recommendation, but who's...
Okay, then we can turn it round the other way.
Okay, well,
yes, I proposed for the money and Mike seconded for the money. That's what it says.
So all those in favour of the posters and banners to promote the open day?
No, not doing that one, Your Worship. You're doing number 1.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought we'd done that.
So you ignore who proposed and seconded it on the sheet of paper, because that was at that meeting. I need someone to propose that it's accepted and someone to propose second that it's accepted, and then a vote to be taken, please.
Serena seconded the first one and the second. That's the first one.
So all those in favour of the open day on the 13th of October?
I'll second it, Connor.
Okay. All those against?
The 3rd of November, surely.
No, the World Heritage Open Day is going to be on Sunday the 13th of October.
Changed to the Sunday the 3rd of November.
No, so the neighbourhood plan event is being changed to the...
Yeah, you've got it written wrong.
Oh, right, okay, well, someone else has written it.
That's true. Okay.
Just need to agree that it can happen.
All those in favour? All those in favour of it happening?
13th of October.
All those in favour of it happening? All those against it happening? All those abstaining? 2 abstentions, okay?
So, it does actually say it,
okay.
But it's very confusing, that.
It hasn't been written by me, so
it does actually say
that's fine.
So moving on to number 2, who's proposing the leaflet? Serena's proposing the leaflet. Mike is seconding the leaflet. All those in favour of the, posters and banners, I should say. All those against the posters and banners, up to £1,000. All those abstaining. 2 abstentions. So again, it's carried. Thank you. Page 2.
No, that was it, Your Worship. Thank goodness.
We're doing very well. They're doing very well. So item 15, receiving unitary councillor reports.
Absolutely fine. Right. Oof. Hang on.
Hello, Nick, nice to see you.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here this time. Last month I was really ill. Okay, so where do I start? I haven't really got a huge amount. I suppose the most relevant one straight away is the fact that I met with the World Heritage people, thanks to Paul arranging the meeting, and that proved very, very good. I had an email from them today, actually, asking for some certain information and for me to put them in touch with particular officers and the such like, which is all very good. So that to me looks like we're heading in the right direction on World Heritage. So that's a definite. Yeah, I've had, because of circumstances, we haven't had so many of my normal meetings this month. I've still been quite busy with casework, even though I'm unwell, because I could have taken 6 months off, as you can, but I decided not to, and that I would keep going and do what I could do, rather than just sitting back and doing nothing and waiting. So, and that seems to be working okay at the moment. I don't seem to have missed too much, and I've been able to make meet people in their houses for all their different problems that they have. So that's been good. I can't walk very far, still again, so it's annoying. And just so you don't worry too much, I'm not going to cark it and leave you without any representation at, or my representation. It's simply that I have a blood disorder that seems to be playing havoc with me. And I've had 2 infusions in the last month and another one to go at the end of this month, and then a specialist appointment as well, which hopefully they're confident they'll get me firing again on all cylinders, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm hopefully they will, because I'm fed up with not being able to walk a lot. Okay, that was that little bit of personal stuff. The other thing is, obviously, I'm very happy with the outcome of the elections, and will make stuff a little bit easier here, because I have a direct route to the MP now, and like at the end of the telephone, whenever I want, within reason, or a WhatsApp. So I think that could be helpful. And I'm aware that Sarah did make it here for the weekend for a thing where I was unfortunately struggling, which I've explained to the mayor or his wife. But yeah, but no, as far as there's not a lot, so hopefully it'll be work as normal as from now at the council. And there is one good thing about the tarmacking. They're going to tarmac all the villages around, all the area around the town and all that. So that'll be good, but it's only top dressing, which isn't brilliant, but it might give us a little bit of relief. Okay, so
Potholes, Nick, is that what you mean?
that's the potholes, yeah. And but this is the whole issue, and I keep on, and as I keep saying to people, even though they say, oh, you only need to report it once, if you see a pothole and you think it's bad, report it online. You can do this. If you don't get an email in reply, let me know, and I will talk to the executive officer for that, and I will get him to personally go and look at it, or to, how should we say, give them a little push, a little nudge, because there has been cases recently around Glastonbury where they've been out to look, but they've judged them as not being unsafe, whereas in my personal opinion, and I'm no expert, I'll admit, they look unsafe to me. And so I keep harassing about that sort of thing. So yeah, please report online, but if you get a problem, let me know. It's really important. Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Councillor Manning and Councillor Don Francesco.
Yep. Whoever
Sorry,
has Steve, yeah.
Anderson, sorry.
I thought Paul
Yeah, well,
was
sorry,
first.
sorry, you've been
I
on
thought
well,
Paul
Nick.
was first.
No, he meant Councillor Henderson. It was a slip of the tongue.
It's got to that time of the evening.
Yeah, I hope you get better, Nick.
Oh, eventually.
Yeah, a couple of things. Obviously, we're looking forward to Magdalen Street being done. I think that is on the cards. But I mean, one good thing about the state of Magdalen Street, it does make people drive a little slower, which I suppose is a plus.
Not very good if you live there and sleep.
No. The other thing is, a couple of meetings ago when you weren't here, I did suggest that the amount of waste paper bins we've got in the town is way out of date. The town has grown into such a busy place in the summer months that the few bins that we've got just can't cope. And they almost every day, but certainly every weekend, trash is just overflowing. And I did say to Connor or whatever, we should have a word with you, but obviously now you're here, I can ask you face to face.
Face to face.
How do we go about getting that sorted?
I will chase it up and I'll find out exactly how we go about that.
You know, you only got to see the amount of rubbish that Kev collects every day. I mean, it's bags and bags and bags of stuff, and the bins can't cope with it. So
yeah, we can go for that.
they need to be more numerous and dotted in more places around the town.
How many more, roughly, Steve, do you think we need?
How many you got? You know, we need a lot.
Okay.
And the other thing is gully clearance, obviously, because when we do get rain, it is torrential, isn't it? And they still can't cope with it. But I know that's on your list.
That is on my list, and that is continual. They get irritated with me, people, because I keep moaning about things like this. So I'm not going to stop now.
Okay, good man.
Okay. Here's Indra. I thought Indra was next, yeah?
Very briefly. No, it's about you being unwell and you're having huge caseloads. I just wondered if we know anything about Councillor Hart. I don't think we've had any reports for a while. And it's just, is she unwell? Is she still in Somerset? Is she still our county councillor?
She is our county councillor. She's working extremely hard. She's living in Somerset. I don't know why you'd think she isn't. Well, perhaps you don't move in the same circles, love.
Well, haven't seen her at meetings, and also she's her meetings are down across Somerset.
She does always give apologies.
Yeah, I can't comment. She is due at a meeting tomorrow, and Susie is due to come on a meeting tomorrow for a look at a planning application. I don't know whether she's coming, and she is definitely due at planning on Thursday, because we've had to move the dates, but unfortunately that sometimes makes it difficult for people to attend, but hopefully she will. I think she's well within her 6 months.
Absolutely, and if you look at her record...
Kind of what I was saying about, you know, just not having, you know, you having a lot on your caseload, basically, and yeah, just needing to spread.
I won't deny that. Thank you, Andrea, for your thoughts.
I've got Councillor Smythe and then Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, Nick. I was asked to bring to your attention, because it's in your ward, but also your county councillor, and it's a highways issue, but it's actually on a pavement. There's Chalkwell Street.
Chalkwell Street.
The container for wooden boxed area for litter for waste.
Number, I know the house number. I've reported it, and has it not been looked at? Do you know?
Send a letter. Could highways send a letter to the occupants?
I will check. Yeah, I know which number it is, and I sent a photo of it actually. So I'll have to do that. I'll have to do that again and follow it up. Okay, Mike, because that's set a precedent, and
that's it.
Other people could be doing the same along there.
As you know.
Yeah. Okay, I'm well aware.
It's right next to some stairs that go down to across the road.
Yeah, it's. I know exactly what. Yeah, we know who lives there.
Thank you for following it up.
I'll follow on up. Don't worry.
Councillor Osborne.
I know you looked into it, and I've said it before, but St John's car park, the arrows on, and the fact that there's nothing to say which way to go when you come in.
No, once you come in, you're lost.
Yeah.
And
there are arrows, so you've got some people following the arrows, the others not, and there's going to be a
to make sure that people go the right way round the car park, really, because they do have a habit of going the wrong way round the car park. I must admit.
Sign, and then you need the arrows repainted. It would be really helpful. Oh, and the that canopy thing. All the bits keep dropping off.
That canopy is historically important.
Well, it may well be, but it nearly killed me.
But it needs looking at, yeah. Okay, don't worry, Lee. I'll have that checked out for you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Councillor
Keith.
Keith.
Not Keith. Yeah. Ian.
Sorry, my curiosity. Silver Street, water comes out of one drain grid and it pours down 30, 40, it goes down another one. It's been doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I thought,
It's a spring, it's not a blocked drain.
is it? Well, that answers my question.
Yeah, there you are. But there are quite a few springs around the town, I must admit, and I know from most of them, but I didn't know that there was one in Silver Street actually. Yeah, so that's interesting. You've added to my knowledge. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can we move on? Thank you very much,
Okay,
Councillor
thank
Cottle.
you.
Thank you very much. Number 16. So last meeting, we appointed a whole set of representatives to outside bodies, for everything from the memorial homes to the burial board, citizens' advice to blah, blah, blah. Would any of them like to give updates? Councillor Smythe? I don't think we don't need to go through all of them, but if anyone wants to give an update.
Just briefly on footpaths. It's been a year now since this council, along with Les Staither, the Ramblers Association, investigated the Holywell Lane permissive path, which needs to be updated onto the OS map. So he's been advised once again by the county council to approach the ordnance survey, which he is doing. So he's expecting a reply in the next 10 or 12 days. So fingers crossed, we'll get it updated on the OS map. It's been backwards and forwards, and he spent an awful lot of time. So I'd just like to thank Les for that time. The second thing is, unfortunately, the Tor sign on Dodd Lane stroke Bullocks Lane has been stolen, although it was secured with bolts in a metal base is still in the ground. The bolts are still there, so whoever did it did a thorough job of it. So we're looking to replace that perhaps with a more sort of generic sign akin to those that are already up. But just those two things I wanted to report.
Thank you. Any other updates? Councillor White.
Thank you. Briefly, town deal. As you've already just heard, we've got these beautiful orange screens around St Dunstan's house, and someone at the market said, "What are those there for?" So we had to explain. How long will they be there? Oh, maybe a year. So they said, right, okay. So Melhurish and Saunders started work yesterday. Probably next week they'll start digging out where the attenuation tanks are going to go, so they'll lift all the paving stones, all of that. So gradually they'll work, but if anybody asks, that's the town deal project in progress. Abbey is going quite well. They think that's going to be a bit late, so might finish about Christmas time. It's about 6 weeks behind apparently. And then Tor Leisure going really well. And then I think Bailey's will start fairly soon as well.
Councillor Dougal then, Osborne.
And Bridesmount have got their planning permission.
Oh yes, very nice.
I was just wondering why there've been no minutes of the town deal published since March.
The town deal?
The town deal board. Minutes.
They're published on their website.
Yeah, no, on their website, I think. Are they published on the website?
Well, no, they should be, but they're not. See what I mean?
So we can look into that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's check where the minutes are.
Yeah. Because I think that the town council website, like it just links into the town deal
sure.
one. Yeah.
Any other updates? Councillor Manning.
Just to say that the Chamber summer networking event at Middlewick is next week on the 18th of July. And in October, we're in Glastonbury Town Hall. We're having a autumn job fair.
Any other updates from outside bodies? Nope. Okay. Mayor's announcements. The main announcement, I think, is I had my Mayor's Day last Saturday, which went very well, I believe. People seem to think so. I particularly appreciated the generosity of the church. It all happened in St John's Church because the town hall was fully booked. And it was just a wide-ranging collection of people from the spiritual or religious side of Glastonbury. We had at least 6 different sorts of Christians: Anglicans, Catholics, Methodists, Quakers, the community church, and some more esoteric Christians, meeting a whole bunch of other types of people. And I was particularly pleased to bring together, in a sense, those two wings of our community who don't mix as much as they might. The MP came. We had some very good talks with Sarah Dyke, our new MP. Deputy Lord Lieutenant came, likewise. The mayors of Street and Chair of Street and the Mayor of Wells came. And it just felt like a lot of good networking was able to happen. Sarah Dyke in particular said to me she's really, really happy to support our World Heritage application as and when that's needed. That's my announcements, I think.
Just a quick question, Worship. I'm glad it went really well. And I was just wondering why it was on a Saturday rather than a Sunday, because unfortunately I was working on Saturday.
Because I wanted to invite people from across the faith communities of Glastonbury, and I very quickly realised all the Christians are busy on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the reason. Yes. So correspondence, communications and announcements? Anyone? Oh, Councillor Osborne?
I don't know if this is the right place to do it, but I would just like to acknowledge the work that Councillor Manning has done in getting us a pharmacy in the High Street. And I really think that, I don't know whether we can put forward a vote of thanks or something, at least a minute.
30 minutes, yeah.
Yes.
Here, here.
Is there an update on that?
Well, just for those who don't know, the update is that the appeal that took place on the 17th of June against a pharmacy opening was rejected.
Yep.
That was announced yesterday.
Exactly.
So what that means is that the pharmacy can now go ahead. There is one formal step to go through in that the premises still have to be officially approved by the GPC, but the company that's opening the pharmacy have got 9 other pharmacies, so this is more of a formality. So it will basically go ahead. The intention is that it will open probably towards the end of August is the rough time, but it is fantastic news, and I'd like to. It wasn't, although I'm very thankful for what those kind words, but it was a team effort, and Jackie at the back was absolutely wonderful, and all the other people who all contributed their own little way, right down to the person who signed the petition or put a sign up in their shop window. It was a real team effort.
Thank you. Thank you for the update. Good news. Very good news.
Councillor Heston, and then
just a quick one. I did hear on the radio yesterday that yesterday was National Town Crier Day, so I'm just going to say thanks to David for that, and I hope you enjoyed your day, David.
Councillor Cook?
Yeah, can I just ask you, Paul, could you explain what the objections were? Like, I still can't understand it.
Well, it is one of the most craziest things ever, because we knew right from the outset when the application went in that there was an objection. There was somebody who said but that it actually got carried forward to this appeal. And the couple of crazy things was, the first thing, it took 7 months between that happening and the appeal being heard. And the second thing was that the objection was based on something called the Pharmaceutical Needs Assessment, which was a document that the ICB produced in 2022, and it basically said that Glastonbury is well served with pharmacies. And basically, the objection was on the grounds of that statement, even though 2 of the pharmacies had closed. And the other thing was that the NHS have got really good information about data about who's using pharmacies, so they know exactly what's going through the pharmacy. They know how much business these pharmacies are doing. They know that there are over 20,000 prescriptions a month dealt out in Glastonbury. And they also know that for a pharmacy to be profitable, it needs to have probably 7,500, 8,000 prescriptions a month going through, and that's enough for it to work. So it was really obvious that there was a need for a second pharmacy. And I was just surprised that it went to appeal, and that it was actually, it actually went through all the various hoops. A real cost to this community, because some of the traumatic stories that Jackie and Dr. Nick Matthews, our expert witnesses at the appeal, came out with, there were people who suffered serious harm in our community because of this delay. So it's a very bad situation.
So,
sorry, it was.
Let's move on. Moving on.
Have a discussion later about that.
So, we're very nearly there. Is that an item for news release? It's certainly in the news.
Yeah.
Are there any other items for news releases? Councillor Smythe?
May I suggest the successful mayoral day, bringing all the religions and faiths together?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That'd be good. Thank you. Any other items for news release? Then let's move on to actions arising from the meeting.
Your Worship, I've noted for property and assets to receive an update on the town hall booking policy that's previously been agreed, and to consider the matter raised this evening. I've made a note to correct with the Assistant Town Clerk the minutes for you to sign when I next see you after they've been corrected. I've made a note for a future agenda item for property and assets to consider the EV charger. Feedback on the budget monitoring report will be brought to Finance and General Purposes. The Asset and Service Devolution Subcommittee will be established and will meet when there is a need for it to meet. There isn't an immediate need. I need an update from Somerset Council, but that group's been established and can meet when it needs to. I've made a note to get some quotes and to have 1,000 busking leaflets printed somewhere. Best value for money on recycled paper, as always. And I've made a note that you've accepted the various recommendations that have come before Council this evening, so various people will deal with those.
Councillor Smythe?
Could I ask the clerk to write a letter on behalf of the council to Avalon Community Energy to support their application, please?
Yes, of course. Apologies, I didn't write that one down, but I would have done it because I would have noticed when I wrote the minutes, but I will write that down now. I've already written one from myself for the application that had to be in yesterday, so I'll update it and tell the applicant that the full council supported it, because that had to wait for this evening.
So the last thing is to note the date of the next meeting, Tuesday, 13th of August. And I declare the meeting closed.
Thank you.
Look at that.